even after the deal, Iran continued to preserve and expand its nuclear weapons know-how for future use. Why would a terrorist regime hide and meticulously catalog its secret nuclear files if not to use them at a later date?
If you saw this presentation this afternoon, you had to be impressed, not only the way it was done, but what he said. And joining us right now is the man behind that presentation, who was working without notes, the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, live in Jerusalem. Welcome, Mr. Prime Minister.
Welcome.
Thanks so much for your time.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good to talk to you.
Well, yesterday, I understand you were able to get that treasure trove, thanks to the Mossad and their great work, out of Iran in January. Why did it take so long to present it here in May?
I won't say how we got it and who got it, but Israel obtained this information actually in February. It's 100,000 plus documents. Huge trove, as you say. It's in Farsi. We had to put translators on it, professional people who understand these scientific and technological things. So it took us a while to do it. I met the president in early March, President Trump. I described to him what we have. I said that we'll move immediately all this information to the United States, which we did. So we've been examining it simultaneously here in Israel and you in America. And it's taken us a while, but I think we know what we know. I presented what we know, and it's bad enough. This regime, the preeminent terrorist regime of our time, in which its goons chant death to America, death to Israel, this regime had a secret nuclear weapons program, and they're trying, under a very bad deal, to get a nuclear arsenal. They shouldn't get it.
And go ahead.
Tell the folks at home, just to piggyback on what you're saying, the mullahs are saying death to America, death to Israel. They have funded proxy wars, funded terrorism, killed American soldiers in Iraq. So describe a world where these radical mullahs, these radical Islamists, would be armed with nuclear weapons, and how serious this would be for Israel and for the United States and the rest of the world.
Well, Ainsley, what you just described is what Iran is doing today without nuclear weapons. I mean, it's gobbling up one country after the other. It's threatening to annihilate Israel. It's trying to put its army in Syria in the service of a tyrannical regime. It's putting precision-guided munitions in Lebanon. That means that they can fire rockets into Israel that can hit the office I'm speaking in and everything else. They're trying to foment terrorism in Gaza. They're firing rockets into Riyadh, into Saudi Arabia, right now from Yemen, which they are also seeking to conquer. I mean, that's what they're doing now, and they hate America. They hate America's guts. So I think if that's what they're doing without nuclear weapons, think of what will happen when they get an arsenal of nuclear weapons if this deal just goes through as is. So I'm very glad, I have to tell you, that President Trump has stood so firmly and so clearly on this issue, and he said that will not happen. And that is something that I fully back, and I think it's not only in the interest of Israel and the United States, that's obvious. It's in the interest of the world. This tyrannical, anti-American regime should not have nuclear weapons.
Okay, and that's one of the reasons you made that great display and presentation yesterday live on television, Mr. Prime Minister, because you want the President of the United States to pull out, and the date certain is May the 12th. But what do you say to the fact that Mike Pompeo and our intel people have said that the country of Iran is in compliance right now with the deal?
If you have a terrible deal and you comply with a terrible deal, that doesn't help you at all. I mean, this deal right now, assuming Iran just complies with it, they'll go the distance and have, within a few years, precisely as President Trump said yesterday, they'll have the wherewithal to produce 100 bombs, nuclear bombs. So that doesn't justify continuing with the deal, and I think it's certainly not continuing with it as structured. I think, I've said it's either fully fix or fully nix. Fully fix, you need a major overhaul. It really means a new deal. But, the person who's going to make that decision for the United States is one person. That's President Trump. And I trust his judgment. I know that he'll do the right thing. And I said yesterday, he'll do the right thing for America, the right thing for Israel, and the right thing for the security and peace of the entire world.
So, Mr. Prime Minister, tell me if this is true. The program shows that they wanted to build a bomb, because then that shows Iran is lying, because they always have said they didn't want to build a bomb. It was much more extensive than anyone thought, okay? So fundamentally, we go into this deal 3 years ago under the wrong premise. Next, is it true that nothing's been done on this program since 2003?
First of all, everything you said before the last question is true. When they did the nuclear deal with Iran, it was premised, its implementation was premised on the fact that Iran would come clean. And it would admit if it had any nuclear weapons program. They didn't come clean. They lied. One item after the other. They lied to the International Atomic Energy Agency, and they were supposed to come clean. That was the premise of the deal. So the deal was flawed from the start by many things, but including on this very central premise. Now, what they've done since 2003 is they took the people who worked on this secret nuclear weapons project and they embedded them in other organizations, and they continued what they call dual-use programs. In other words, they're supposedly doing civilian things, but they're really geared for the ability to have nuclear weapons capabilities. And that's what they kept. If this thing is so unnecessary, you got to tell me this. Why did they keep this archive, these secret atomic files, so secret? Why did they hide it? And they hid it with extra special effort after they signed the Iran nuclear deal, because they knew. They lied. They lied in order to get the deal, and they're still lying. They're trying to basically have their yellow cake, as I say, and eat it too. They want the capacity. Yellow cake is how you make
our Secretary of State.
Uranium. But that's what they're trying to do. So they're trying to bamboozle the entire world, and I'm very glad that President Trump has said, well, you know, enough of that. We're not going to be hoodwinked. We're not going to be taken for a ride. We're going to have to do a serious change here to make sure that Iran does not have nuclear weapons. That means that this deal was a terrible deal. It should have never been concluded. There needs to be a change right now.
Yeah, well, our Secretary of State confirmed that that all of these documents, and our intelligence officials have confirmed that these documents are legit and they have been lying. Let's talk about the importance of what's about to happen in a few weeks. President Trump has recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. The embassy is going to open there. And this is something that other presidents have promised in the past here in the U.S. and have never delivered on that. It seems to be very different, this relationship you have with President Trump versus your relationship with President Obama. Why? Tell me about the significance and your relationship with President Trump and what this means, opening this embassy there.
Well, first of all, I think that President Trump did a historic thing. And, you know, our people will remember it for many, many generations. I'm sitting right now in the Prime Minister's office. It's in Jerusalem. Right next to me is our parliament, the Knesset. It's in Jerusalem. Right next to that is our Supreme Court. That's in Jerusalem, too. And the seat of our president, that's in Jerusalem. So everybody knows that Jerusalem is Israel's capital. It's been the capital of the Jewish people from King David's time. That's 3,000 years ago. And it took President Trump's leadership to say something so clear, a simple fact, to put forward a simple truth, but an important one. And I think there's tremendous excitement in Israel for the upcoming moving of the American embassy to Jerusalem, and we deeply appreciate it. It was a great act. My relationship with President Trump is terrific.
Absolutely.
And
do you want him to come,
between Israel and the
Mr.
United
Prime
States,
Minister?
The alliance between our two countries has never been stronger.
And do you want him to come? Do you want the president to be there?
Love to have him here. It's his decision. He's got an open invitation.
All right. Benjamin Netanyahu there in the Prime Minister's office in Jerusalem. Sir, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for joining us. Wonderful to talk to you. God bless you.